Namaste. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. This is Dr. V. Premlata from the Department of Performing Arts, Sri Venkateshwara University, Tirupati. This is a module, Lyrical Content in Music Compositions, the paper Indian Aesthetics and Fine Arts, under the subject Indian Culture. This module would give an idea about what is found in the Sahitya or the lyrics of music compositions. In the earlier modules, we went through the nature of music compositions and other salient features of Karnataka music. So, in this module, we will understand what is the nature of the text or Sahitya in the music compositions. To start with, we have to understand that compositions of classical art music have three main elements or components. They are, number one, the text or the Sahitya, which is technically called Matu. The next is the melodic content or the musical part, that is the Dhatu. The third is the Thala or the time measure underlying the composition, which is called Laya. Now we are going to deal with the Sahitya or the lyrical content in this module. There are three main aspects with respect to the text. What could form part of a text in a music composition? Either it could be swaras or it could be jatis or pataksharas, and mainly they consist of a meaningful text. What is that swara part? In the earlier module, we understood that swaras are 7: sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. These are the swaras, but when you sing a composition as part of the text, we find that these swaras are seen there. For example, in musical forms like Jatiswara, Swarajati and Varna, the compositions they contain swaras as part of text. Jatiswara are exclusively composed of swaras only. Shall we now listen to a small part of a Jatiswaram? This is in Raga Vasanta set to Rupakatala. Sa sa ni da ma ga re ne sa ga ma da ni da sa sa ni da ma ga re ne sa ga ma da ni da sa re sa ni da ma ga ma ni da ma ga re sa da ni re ga ma da sa ga ma da ni sa re ni sa da ni ma da ga ma da sa re sa ni da ma ga ma ni da ma ga re sa da ni re ga ma da sa ga ma da ni sa re ni sa da ni ma da ga ma da ni sa. So you now understand that this composition is exclusively made of swaras. But what happens when you come to a varna? In a varna, there are different sections. The Purvanga consists of the Pallavi, Anupallavi and Muktai, and the Uttranga consists of the Charana and the Charanaswaras. In case of the Purvanga, the Pallavi and Anupallavi are made of a meaningful Sahitya, while the Muktai Swara is made of Swaras. I shall just show you a small part of the Purvanga of a Varna. This is in the Raga Mohana. Ninnu kori yona norani kila lokanayaka. This is the Pallavi. Nanno palimpa samaya murana mita krapa jodara. This is the Anupallavi part. Ga re ga re sa ga re ga sa da sa re ga pa da pa ga pa da sa re ga sa re da sa pa sa re ga sa da pa ga re sa re ninnu. This portion is called the Muktai Swara. You have observed now that this consists of only swaras. Now, let's look into the other parts where we find the swaras being interspersed. In the Kritis, the main section of this song is comprised of a meaningful text. But sometimes you find that small passages of swaras are also found in between the song. These are called as the Chittaswaras. Sometimes they are found after Anupallavi, sometimes they are found after Anupallavi and again repeated at the end of Charana. We shall now listen to a small composition in the Raga Janaranjani in which a small passage of Chittaswaras occur. Pa pa ma re sa da pa ma re sa ne sa re ga ma pa sa re ga ma pa da pa ni sa re sa da pa ma re sa re ga ma pa himam shri. So in this composition we find that the Chittaswara occurs after the Anupallavi and the same Chittaswara in a higher speed is also rendered after the Charana. The Swara passages are also followed by a meaningful Sahitya. This is called as Swara Sahityam. This is seen in some songs of Shyama Shastri. For example, O Jagadamba in the Raga Ananda Bhairavi. Shall we listen to this now? A Ragamalika is a musical form which is set to different ragas. That means each section of a composition is set to a different raga. In such compositions, after each section, you can find the set of swaras specified to be sung in that parent raga. And towards the end, it might lead us to the main raga or the Pallavi. Here again, you see that the Chittaswaras are very catchy and attractive and brings out a kind of a charm to the composition. Tillana is a musical form where you find lot of jatis. Jatis are meaningless syllables, but still they are considered as auspicious and mangalaksharas as per ancient text. Jati aksharas are like Tom, Dhim, Tarana, Dhirana and so on. Tillana composition is exclusively made of jatis in the Pallavi and the Anupallavi, and a first or the main line of the Charana consists of a meaningful text. But these jatis are also sometimes found as part of a text in Kritis. We shall now just listen to a Tillana.
Sari pa ma re sa ne sari ma re sa ne sa ne pa ma re sari pa ma pa sa.
Fine. This is now how the jatis are becoming the main part of a Tillana. As I told you, jatis are also found as part of the text in Kritis. I shall now render you a small piece in the Kriti where jatis become interspersed with Sahitya. This is in the Raga Natakuranji. Tirumagarnadan Mridanganadam Tirumagarnadan Mridanganadam Dim takita janakum Dim takita janakum Dim takita janakum Endre Adira Desai Mugantalam தளாங்கு தளாங்கு என்று. See here, we can understand that the jatis are inserted not as a mere word, but it makes some sense to convey the meaning of the song. The composer tries to describe the celestial dance of Lord Nataraja, wherein Brahma is playing his instrument and there are many other dancers and instruments and accompaniments, but they all try to play in set to some kind of a thala or a jati pattern which is being described in this song. Now we will come to the language of the text. Karnataka music compositions are set to many languages of South India. That is, the compositions of Karnataka music could be in Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil or Sanskrit. We see that many of the compositions are in Sanskrit and a few in the other Dravidian languages. You can have a look at here the songs which are set to the different languages as is self-explanatory from the screen. Next important aspect of the lyrical content of a composition is the theme. We know that basically the art music is for the art, but still the compositions have a meaningful text which convey some idea. So mainly most of the compositions are devotional in nature. They are in praise of many Hindu gods. Like for example, Varadarajam Upasmahe is in praise of Lord Varadaraja. The devotional themes and songs of the Devarnama, they all give out a devotional aspect and are mainly used in the bhajanas also. The Divyanama Kirtanas and Utsava Sampradaya Kirtanas are also such kind of devotional items and are also performed during specific rituals. Like Lali Yugave and many other Lali, Melukolupu, or this as the way they are performed during the different rituals of temples. Some of the compositions also portray philosophical ideas, while many of them also erotic in nature based on the Sringara Rasa. Another important aspect of the content of a musical composition is the Nindastuti. That is, some of the compositions are based in the form of a criticism made by the author. Here on the screen you can see the meaning of a song which begins with Ikshvaku Kulatilaka Ikanaina Palukavi. This is a composition of Bhadrachala Ramadasa where he says, "O Ramachandra, I made the emerald ornament for your brother Bharata. This cost 10,000 varahas. I made another set of ornament for Sita which cost 10,000 varahas. All these precious stones I have made for you, your wife, your brothers and all. Who will pay for this? Are you going to pay, or your father or your father-in-law? I have done it from my own pocket and now I am suffering in the jail, but you are very happy sitting there. Is this the way? Won't you come and take care of me?" See, this is not, though this is criticism, but still this shows the depth of devotion the composer has got and he places in front of the Lord. So such kind of compositions also figure in the classical music. Some of the compositions have some technical information related to the music in them. For example, the Lakshana Gitas describe the characteristics of the raga in which that composition is set. You can now see a Lakshana Gita in the raga Maya Malava Gavla which commences with the term Ravi Koti Teja. In between we find Raganga Maya Malava Gavla Upanga Shalanga Nata Chaya Gavla Mangala Kaishika Mega Ranji Mechabauli Takka Nadarama Kriya Padi Revagupti and so on it goes. So in this Lakshana Gita, it is in the raga Maya Malava Gavla which says that this is in the Raganga Maya Malava Gavla which has got the Upanga Ragas or the varieties under that, namely Salanganata, Chaya Gavla and so on. So one can understand what are the Upanga Ragas which are classified under Maya Malava Gavla from this composition. So this kind of a technical information is also available in the Lakshana Gitas. Now let us have a look at the literary beauties in the text of compositions. What are literary beauties? The way the letters, words, syllables are arranged in a composition. We can broadly classify them under prasa, yati, antyaprasa and anuprasa. Prasa is also called as dvitiyakshara prasa. What does this mean? It means that every second letter of a pallavi and every second letter of the anupallavi of any song, there is a concurrence. So in this example you can see Pahi Parvata Nandini, the second letter is he. And in the anupallavi you see Vahini he. So this kind of an aspect is called prasa, the dvitiyakshara prasa, which is found to exist in almost all the compositions. Next item is yati, which is otherwise known as mohana. This refers to the concordance of the syllables between two parts of a section, of the same section. In the same example, Pahi Parvata Nandini, the second line is Parvanendu. So you can see that Pa and Pa coincides. And now when we look at this example, Vatapi Ganapatim Bhajeham, Varanashyam Varapradam. So you can see there is a similarity between the two letters, Va and Va, found in the first and the second lines. This is Eti. The next is the Anuprasa, which refers to the occurrence of a set of syllables which are sounding alike, occurring again and again. For example, in the Kriti Akshaya Linga Vibhu, in the Raga Shankarabharana, as you can see, the syllables Shana occurs many times. Daksha Shikshana Dakshatara Sura Lakshana Vidhi Vilakshana Lakshya Lakshana Bahu Vichakshana Sudha Bhakshana Guru Kataksha Vikshana. So these kind of occurrences also add beauty to the composition. The next aspect which we are going to look at about the arrangement of words in a composition is Antyaprasa. This is predominantly found in many of the compositions of Muthuswami Dikshita. This refers to the occurrence of a set of syllables or a part of a word occurring uniformly at the end of each line. For example, if you take the charana of the raga song Vatapi Ganapati in the raga Hamsadvani, Karambuja Pasha Bijatpuram Kalusha Viduram Bhutakaram Haradi Guruhu Atoshita Bimbam Hamsadvani Bhushita Herambam. You can see that the syllables ram, ram, bam, bam, so kind of a alliteration and a kind of antyaprasa gives us an effect of an uniformity at the end of each line. When one studies about the content, the lyrical content of compositions, we will have to take into consideration the mudra. In an earlier module, I have told you what is mudra. Mudra is an indication made by the identity of the composer in his compositions. So, this mudra occurs as an integral part of a composition in many cases. These mudras are of many kinds. If it is the identity of an composer, then it is called Vagekara mudra. When it gives an identity of a raga, it becomes Raga mudra. Sometimes the name of the prabandha or the form itself has been indicated. It becomes Prabandha mudra. Kshetra mudra also occurs, which gives us an indication of the place where this song was composed, or the place, the deity of a particular place which has been referred to in that song. When we come to Vagekara mudra, we see that the name of the author is indicated, like for instance Tyagaraja Nuta, Tyagaraja Vinuta, etc. in the songs of Tyagaraja, Guru Guha in the songs of Muthuswami Dikshita. But again, when we look at these Vagekara mudras, we see that sometimes it is Swanama mudra, where the composers have used their own names. Sometimes it is Itaranama mudra, that refers to when a composer is not using his own name, but a place or the name of a deity or something else as an identity to identify his song. Here is a list of composers and their Vagekara mudras. Thus, in the compositions of Purandaradasa, we find the term Purandara Vitala occurring. In Muthuswami Dikshita, it is Guru Guha. Likewise, in Mysore Vasudevacharya Kirtanas, you find Vasudeva. Let me just now sing and show you a couple of Vagekara mudras as they occur in compositions. कराम्बुजपाशबीजात्पूरं कलुषविधूरं भूताकारं हरादिगुरुगुहतोषितबिम्बं हंसध्वनिभूषितहेरम्बं कराम्बुजपाशबीजात्पूरं कलुषविधूरं भूताकारं हरादिगुरुगुह. There occurs the Vagekara mudra. प्रणमाम्यहं श्रीगौरीसुतं प्रणमाम्यहं श्रीगौरीसुतं पाणितल्पवासुदेवभक्तं. There occurs Vasudeva Bhaktam. So it is of Mysuru Vasudevacharya. And the next one is the Raga Mudra, wherein you can see the name of the raga occurring as part of the text in compositions. For example, in many compositions of Muthuswami Dikshita, you can find this concept. This is an example from the raga Kamala Manohari. Kanchadalaya dakshi kamakshi kamala manohari. See, here you can see the name Kamala Manohari being incorporated as the Raga Mudra, but still it denotes the goddess there. And in the next example you can see Naga Gandhari, where Pannagha Bharanayute Naga Gandhari. So many of the compositions of Muthuswami Dikshita carry the Raga Mudras. And Raga Mudras also play an important role in a Ragamalika. So when each section is set to a particular raga, the textual part of that section would have the name of the raga. Thus, this would help us to retain that section in that particular raga so that the changes wouldn't occur. This is a famous Ragamalika set to 8 ragas, Nitya Kalyani Nigamanta Sancharini, where you have the term Kalyani. And in Shankarabharana part, you can see the second line, Saranganata Rakshaki Shri Shankarabharana Veni. In the third part, Todi, you can see Paramapriti Todigan. So this is the way the text goes, and each section carries the Raga Mudras. The next is the Prabandha Mudra, which refers to the indication of the name of the composition. For example, Prabandha generally means a composition. In the Chaturdasha Ragamalika composed by Muthuswami Dikshita, it starts with Sri Vishwanatham Bhajeham. This has got the name of the Ragamalika form embedded in it. Here is a list of names of different mudras which are indicative of the places of the presiding deities. So this is called as the Sthala Mudra. The Sthala Mudra refers to the place, Sthala. Thus, Madhurapuri refers to Madurai, Kamalapura refers to Tiruvarur, Syanandura Nagari refers to Tiruvananthapuram, Bhadradri refers to Bhadrachalam, Rangapuri refers to Sri Rangam, Kanchi Nagara refers to Kanchipuram, and this list goes on. And towards your right, you can see the songs in which such a reference occurs. I shall now just demonstrate you one evidence for this. In the song Meenakshi Memudam Dehi, the charana goes thus. Madhura Pure Nelaye. So he describes goddess Meenakshi, that the one who lives in Madhura, that is Madurai. In this song, Shri Lalite Kanchi Nagara. Shri Lalite Kanchi Nagara Nivasini. So in this song, we can see that the one Lalit Kanchi Nagara Nilaye, Sri Lalite, he says that, O God, the one who dwells in Kanchi Nagara, that is Kanchipuram. So this way, the name of the places where the presiding deities are seen has been very intelligently being incorporated in the text of compositions. Thus, we had a broad variety of aspects that are seen in the music compositions. We began with the swara component, the jati component. Then when you come to the meaningful text, we had the language of the text, the themes that are being portrayed in these compositions. That could be devotional, erotic, or technical information is also seen. Then comes the mudras, which are very, very important aspects to give an identity to the composer and the composition. The different varieties of mudras. Then the kind of literary beauties. The way the text of a sahitya, the text of a song is set, the way it is constructed, there should be some kind of a beauty in it, like the concurrence or the coincidence of the second letter, of the first letter, of the ending letters or the syllables, and on the whole you can see a kind of beauty, so that when a song is sung or rendered, it gives a kind of a pleasure. This module has dealt with all these aspects of the lyrical content or the content of the text in music compositions. Hope this was useful to you. After understanding these aspects, probably we will enjoy singing, and enjoying the beauty of the compositions would make us much more happy. Thank you.